Good afternoon. I think I'll do a kind of a more extended introduction, if I may. My name is Darya Bahram. I'm the sort of Secretary General of the Association of Consultant Architects and also Research Associate at the Centre of Construction Law, King's College London. Some of the recent work that I've done with the Centre has been the publication of a report, which I hope you have all a copy. If not, is freely downloadable from the Centre's website, Enabling BIM Through Procurement and Contract. Now, that led to really the revision of the CIC BIM protocol subsequent to the findings on that report. Also part of the basically a committee that prepared a report for consumers buying new homes, so giving them some indication of the legal rights they will have. I reviewed and revised the 2 RIBA building contracts, was published in 2014, with consultation of a large number of legal professionals, you'd be glad to hear. I also reviewed and revised the JCT's contract administration forms recently in line with the 2016 revision. Also, basically recently, I'll say recently, it was now 18 months ago, I co-authored a report with the director of the Centre about basically the use of disruptive technology within the built environment generally. So what have we got in store for you? Well, just a sort of a brief touch on how the financial sector has already started with the smart contract. I think it was important, although we are all in the building hub and we're all from the building profession, just to kind of revisit some of the peculiarities of our industry. And then with the new technologies coming through, really decide, okay, how does a collaboration look like? These are technologies that require collaboration. So what do we need beyond these collaborative tools? And of course, you're all here because I was asked to say, are smart contracts the answer? I will look at that through the context of construction. And yes, it is time for change. We have the technology coming through, but what else do we need for that? Right, the BBVA, which are actually a Spanish bank, actually published a little document you might want to download, again freely downloadable, talks about the trust, the ultimate of trust. It talks about blockchain is, of course, what already Abel has talked to you about, so I won't go into detail with these. Basically, it is a code. He's already, as I said, gone through most of these. Now, what I've decided to do is just to kind of oh, it does come out well. Actually, I wasn't quite sure. This is just literally an extract from that document, the BVA document. It just goes through some of the applications of this smart contract. You've got a loan to get a car. If you don't pay, then they stop you using that key to get into the car. As they say, simples. So in terms of inheritance, because it's an if and then, when unfortunately the death happens, if you've got everything in place, then that division of asset without dispute will actually happen, and so on and so forth. Now, this is where we kind of really refresh, if I could say that, on what construction is about. It's a process of moving and assembling materials and equipment into a completed and fully functional built form. Having said that, it's a prototype. So although repetitive, it doesn't get performed in a kind of a fixed sequence or a fixed location. And then like manufacturing, we're actually not producing the same thing like a car time and time again. But we do rely on a whole range of support, from people to products to services. And of course, there's a huge number of interconnected delivery and payment processes involved in that. Just sort of add to that, it's a lengthy process, complicated and lengthy. It's actually the obligation of parties do change as we move along, because the project and what the deliverable is going to be changed. So we need to be able to accommodate for something like that. We do have wonderful, payment intervals set in all our contracts. However, you cannot at the outset actually set out that on year 4, month 1, this is the amount I need to pay out, right? So we do need something that will allow us to accommodate that across that digital contract when it goes forward. And of course, as we all know, we can start from A to go to B, but we might end up to D. So really, we do need to accommodate flexibility and change. Having said that, as I said, and we all agree, actually, our industry is heavily contractual. This is just a very good example that I picked up. You can see, yes, that's actually good. All right, so I did say that we have the technology, so if we combine that to hopefully a new commercial model of working, hopefully we are able to actually better utilize what's coming through. Exciting. Okay, what might it look like? Hopefully we create a single process as opposed to the various silos we've got. We move away and we do work. Sorry, I better put this down. We do work actually in a very much of a vertical hierarchical manner. And that's very sort of inefficient because the information trickles down when it wants to and who doesn't want to doesn't actually process that. So we need to move away from that structure. Hopefully a better team integration, and of course the trust has been talked about all of these technologies. And of course greater certainty that hopefully will, this we can all hope, will actually reduce problems and avoid disputes. Okay, so I think Abel talked to you, and we all know about BIM and the fact that we can actually now utilize the data that gets generated to unlock the door for other new technologies. And of course, yes, we all agree it is a collaborative process. I think I won't go through these, as Abel has already talked to you about blockchain and what it can do. So literally, I'll just pass through those to go to what you've been sort of waiting for in terms of what is a smart contract. He did say there's a computer program, and it's actually located in blockchain. So having said that, then that program actually expresses the content of the contract, as we know. It self-executes, of course, and it does actually, one thing after the other gets triggered based on the parameters. Remember, the if this happens, that. So it works on that kind of principle. However, there's always a however. We've got coding errors and bugs that can happen with any software. So what happens to basically your contract when it needs to be executed, but it actually has some form of a bug? Oops, sorry, you're not going to get paid. What if it's drafted negligently? And I don't mean just basically, by accident. It could be actually intentional. How would you know about that? Or basically manipulated in a fraudulent manner. And of course, where there's a software, there's always people who think it's a good challenge to try and hack it. So there is that kind of potential to hack. Okay, so I've got very little time left. These are what I've already mentioned in terms of the peculiarities of our construction. So think about now, again, whether these are actually suitable for something like a smart contract, or do we need something a bit more intelligent? So we have a smart contract that we've said it's self-enforcing. It works on the if and then principle. The content is designed by coders right at the outset. And they decide the framework, and it's basically content. And to be honest, if you read extensively about the topic, you'll realize that they do say it's actually not very suited for a very long-running process. And construction, sort of 4 or 5 years construction process is actually quite a norm. So what if we have a more intelligent basic contract where you actually get in behind a computer, start answering a couple of questions, and then from that you actually get some element of a bespoke contract that suits your extension as opposed to a kind of a factory down sort of southeast. And And although automated in enforcing, it's able to adapt to basically those change of circumstances that I've sort of touched on earlier. And the fact it can learn and adapt and based on sort of historical data and make a kind of a logical assessment of how and where to go forward. So it is time for change. The technology is here, and we need a new way of thinking and working. So there you go. We know these technologies. So where is that kind of commercial model that will put us together? I hope you've heard of PPC 2000. It's been around for 18 years. Clue is on the 2000 part of the PPC. A little bit about it. Back in 2008, basically Arab was commissioned to have a look and see which one of these contracts, including two well-known ones that you know, actually are a better partnering contracts. And of course, naturally, lo and behold, PPC 2000 was the one that scored the highest. And talking about the category of leading excellence in construction. I will read through the quotes on these. It's quite important, although I know I haven't got much time. Focuses on value on all material points and, you'll be interested in that, still enable the parties to withdraw if the value profile is not satisfactory. Now, how powerful is that? It's to find methods to resolve points of difference in the interest of delivery of the project. Now, this is what Michael Latham had to say about the project. The full Monty, basically. It's endorsed by both the CIC and Constructing Excellence. Very quickly on that one, if you are so sort of basically used to, and it's the devil you know, you use JCT NEC, well, the alternative to that is the other parts of the suite, which is creating an overarching umbrella that creates that ethos, but retaining your JCTs and NETs that you're familiar with. And these are the FAC1 and TAC1, Framework Alliance and Term Alliance contracts. And they will support, and I will, as I said, no time, I shall read these for you, supporting collaborative relationships and processes with agreed actions and rewards, sustaining an integrated team via nurturing an environment of trust and collaboration, creating a single process from design to production, exit strategy when things go wrong, facilitating the adoption of BIM as a process, and deal with concerns which often occur over IP rights and basically reluctance to share data. I've got 2 websites that you might be interested in, and I'm actually around if you wanted to talk to me a bit later. On that note, all I have to say is thank you and my contact details.